So I was thinking about communication the other day, and ministers bother me sometimes because they're not here nor there. Sometimes they go out of their way to not say anything that's direct. When I first went into the ministry, I was kind of that way too. Tell people riddles or stories, or let me tell you a story about somebody, and really it's going to be someone in your situation, so listen to it and try to glean what I'm trying to say to you, but I don't really have the cojones to just tell you. You see, as a matter of fact, I changed my ways shortly after somebody did something similar to me. You see, I was meeting with my district leadership once a month during my first pastorate. And I had some problems. I had kind of a tough place to pastor for a young guy. We weren't getting a lot of new people, and the church was pretty much older people. And I got a phone call one day from a lady in the church who was an older lady. And she said, "Nobody's coming. We just need to reach new people. Why aren't we reaching new people?" And so I worked really hard at just trying to get out and try to meet people, and it seemed like I was just failing. After a while, we did get a couple new families start coming to the church, and I thought, well, this lady should be pretty happy. Well, after those new families had been coming for a couple weeks, I got a phone call from her, and she was asking me about something, and I said to her on the phone, I said, "Hey, did you notice we've got a couple new families? What do you think of that?" This is what she said. She said, "Yes, and it's bothered me because I wonder if they're really getting convicted. Do you really think that they're hearing the truth, or are they just there because it's playtime for them?" Well, I got kind of upset because here this lady had just been complaining about not having anybody. All of a sudden we get somebody, and now she's complaining that things aren't good enough, or there's not enough conviction. So I started preaching really hard messages, and really hardcore kind of, but it wasn't against sinners as much as I was preaching against the spirit of religion and religious people who kind of keep people at bay because they're always worried about do's and don'ts. Well, they obviously reported to the district too, just as much as I did. One day I went to my district official, sat and talked to him, and I said, "Well, I think things are going pretty good." And he's like, "Oh, you know what, Brother Height, there was a guy in your area the other day who was having problems with his son, and he was looking for a good pastor to go to. Now, he doesn't live in your town, so understand that, but I just want to tell you this because it's important that all my ministers know this. Well, there was a pastor that had been recommended to him by somebody, and he called me up and thought if it was a good idea, to see if it was a good idea if he go visit this guy. But I've heard that this guy is kind of hard. He's kind of hard on his people, and he's not very compassionate. He doesn't really love the people like he should. And this man needed someone compassionate to talk to. So I said, you probably shouldn't go and talk to this minister. Come and see me." And he said, I just wanted to tell you that story because it's important that you know that you need to be compassionate." And I thought, well, that's an interesting story. And we went on and we talked a little while about some other stuff. And about 2 days later, I was sitting in my office and I got a phone call from a guy named Barry who was having some difficulties with his son. And he said, I want you to come and talk to my family. And I thought, wow, this is kind of like the situation I'd heard about from my district official. And I said, maybe my district official told him to go to me instead of that other pastor because he realized that I was compassionate. So I went to his house, I met with his family, met with his son. We had a really good discussion. Things went really well, actually. And at the end of the night, I was walking out, and we'd all hugged and had a time of prayer. And this guy said, "Let me walk you out to the car." He walked me out to the car, and he looked at me and said, Boy, I sure am glad I didn't listen to brother so-and-so. And I looked at him and said, why? Well, I called him a couple weeks ago, and he told me not to go to you. But boy, he was wrong. All of a sudden, it just hit me when he said that. I waved goodbye, and I got back into the car, and my wife was with me. I looked at her, I said, Nicole, I said, brother so-and-so basically told me a story about me, pretending it wasn't me, in order to try to teach me something. But he wasn't direct. And his information wasn't real either, because it wasn't that I lacked compassion. It was the fact that I was dealing with some people who didn't like what I was saying to them, so they were calling him and telling him I lacked compassion. That never got resolved because there was never any directness there. But after that moment, I made a vow. I said, when somebody comes into my office and talks to me about something, or if I'm dealing with somebody about something, I'm going to be direct with them. I am going to talk to them about the issue at hand. I'm not going to tell them stupid stories, and I'm not going to jump around and play games. And that's the way I've always been, ever since then. That's why only 2 people come to my church now.